Or you said the WNBA, they're targeting Caitlin Clark. What do you mean by how she's being guarded or, enforced?
I think you and I both know the landscape that we live in today.
So this is Caitlin Clark, and she is the best rookie in the WNBA. One of the best rookies in the history of the WNBA. A really freaking good player.
Both sports-wise and non-sports-wise, right? We are in a red-blue. And if you're red, you can't agree with blue. And if you're blue, you can't agree with red.
A historically great player for her age and experience in the WNBA. But one person who did not think she was going to be good is Geno Auriemma. And we have made plenty of videos talking about Geno Auriemma. I have over
Picture this. The top coach in women's basketball tells Caitlin Clark she doesn't belong in his program. He already had Paige and didn't see a need for Clark. Geno Auriemma's silence wasn't accidental. It was his way of closing the door on her. But Clark didn't just accept defeat. Instead, she built her own empire at Iowa, packing arenas, dominating highlight reels, and drawing millions of fans to the sport. So, how did the player he once dismissed turn around and end up costing him millions? Let's dive in. Before we continue, a quick favor. If you enjoy this content, please hit the like button and subscribe. Over 98% of viewers watch without subscribing. It doesn't cost anything, but it really helps the channel.
If you're a college player and you're a great college player, like Caitlin was, the delusional fan base that follows her disrespected the WNBA players.
I'm pretty sure I've got maybe 150,000 views just going over this take over and over again and how dumb it was. And we've revisited it. We always revisit it a few times.
By saying she's going to go in that league and tear it apart. There were actually odds on she's third or fourth in betting odds on being MVP at the WNBA. These people are so disrespectful and so unknowledgeable and so stupid.
Obviously there are plenty of people. There are more than you can think of that would apply to. But obviously Geno Auriemma is one of them. Obviously Cheryl Swoops is one of them. He's not going to be out here naming names, but obviously that applies to a lot more than just...
It makes a huge difference to us. So, did you hit that subscribe button? Awesome. Thank you. Now, back to the story. Imagine facing the most powerful voice in women's basketball telling you that you don't belong. That's exactly what Caitlin Clark experienced when Geno Auriemma didn't even consider recruiting her. He already had Paige Booker and saw no reason to change his roster. In his eyes, Clark wasn't the star his program needed, and that's where it all began. The gatekeeper of the sport decided who mattered, leaving Clark standing in silence. But instead of backing down, she made a choice that completely changed the trajectory of her career.
It gives women's basketball a bad name. Okay, so the kid was set up for failure right from the beginning. So if you're a WNBA player, and believe me, I've coached the best, and I've pissed them off a lot, and they let me know about it.
And the funniest part about this is, this was directly after Caitlin Clark dropped 30. Caitlin Clark literally dropped 30 points versus the Washington Mystics the night before this.
But they were tremendously disrespected. And none of them are going to say it. But human nature is, okay, this kid's coming into the league. And Diana said it best. This kid's in for a rude awakening. And they all jumped over her, but they didn't read the whole thing that she said.
She had just dropped, I repeat, she had just had her second 30-point game. Caitlin Clark since then has had one 30-point game. She has had one 30-point game since then. At this stage of the Geno Auriemma interview, she had...
But it wasn't just about her. It was about the entire landscape of women's basketball. Think about it. UConn has long been the program where legends prove themselves. Diana Taurasi, Maya Moore, Brianna Stewart. If you weren't wearing Husky Blue, were you really at the top? Geno Auriemma believed the answer was clear, and he made it obvious that Clark wasn't going to be part of his dynasty. On the surface, it seemed like rejection. But when Clark chose Iowa, she wasn't settling. She was seizing the opportunity to lead, to have a program built around her instead of playing in someone else's shadow in a system that would limit her spotlight. That decision laid the groundwork for one of the biggest player-driven shifts in the history of the sport. By her sophomore year, arenas that had once been half empty were turning fans away. Students camped outside Carver Hawkeye Arena just for a chance to see her play.
Nobody's printing. Diana Taurasi was right. This kid's on the wrong team. She's got the wrong skill set to handle the physicality of that league. And she's a rookie. And if you're a WNBA player, if you're any kind of player.
Clark was hitting threes from the logo, and games that once struggled to draw viewers suddenly started pulling in numbers that women's basketball had rarely seen. She wasn't just playing, she was putting on a spectacle. Thousands of fans filled the arenas, while millions more watched viral clips on TikTok and Twitter seconds after she released the ball. Those half-court shots weren't just impressive. They were proof that Geno had overlooked a player who wasn't merely part of the story. She was the story. And the impact was undeniable. Iowa's game against LSU broke records, drawing nearly 10 million viewers, more than many NBA playoff games that year.
You're going to say, I'm going to make a statement. Targeted by society, targeted by her looks, targeted by her reputation, targeted by the disrespect that they've shown to the WNBA. There's a huge target on this kid's back. I thought Cameron Brink said something really smart.
Every home game at Iowa became a sellout, something the program hadn't seen in decades. One player completely transformed the ticket market, boosted merchandise sales, and doubled TV ratings almost overnight. Iowa wasn't supposed to be the place where history was made, yet Clark turned it into the sports epicenter. Every time she stepped on the court, she proved that being overlooked by UConn wasn't a setback, it was motivation. As for Geno, he didn't seem impressed, or at least, that's what he wanted everyone to think. He tried to downplay her achievements with dismissive comments.
Exactly it. Is that every single person thought the 2020 ESPN recruiting class was historic. The 2020 ESPN 100.
He shook his head at the idea that she was dominating anything. At one point, he even compared her to a little kid playing in a driveway, implying her shots were just flashy tricks. In interviews, he doubled down, sometimes without even mentioning Clark directly, rolling his eyes at the excitement surrounding her. This wasn't casual criticism. It was the old guard trying to reclaim control and remind everyone that he defined greatness. But the more he spoke, the louder Clark's supporters became. His words backfired, even turning casual fans in her favor. On some platforms, he even went after her supporters, calling them foolish or disrespectful for celebrating her so early. Instead of creating doubt, he only strengthened her fan base and their loyalty.
Was seen as a historic class for its time. Like, you don't realize how hyped Paige Bueckers was. And you don't realize, like, look, if you want to say, oh, Caitlin Clark was always better. No, she wasn't. Caitlin Clark was not better.
The narrative started to change. This wasn't just a rising star making headlines. It was a once-in-a-generation player showing that the system had missed her by shutting her out. Meanwhile, Clark kept working quietly, letting her performance speak for itself. She delivered 41-point games and racked up triple-doubles, proving her critics wrong without ever responding directly. She chose a platform where she called the shots. That decision wasn't just about money. It was about taking power out of his hands and proving she didn't need his empire to create her own. Clark's greatest victory wasn't a trophy or an award. It was control. She showed that players don't need someone like Geno deciding who gets to shine. By building her own spotlight, she shifted the power away from the coach who once ignored her. That move was the ultimate payback, turning down a league deal that would have put money in his pocket, costing him millions and shattering the idea that he still controls the future. So, what do you think? Did Geno finally get humbled? And was Clark's rise the true changing of the guard?